Welcome to the Breakup Recovery Podcasts by your host, Barbara Stevens. Discover the wisdom and remarkable insights of Barbara Stevens, breakup recovery mentor, author, and public speaker. Barbara offers programs and solutions for any breakup so you can turn your life around, create lasting changes for the better, and embrace life again.
Hello and welcome to Breakup Recovery Podcast. I'm Barbara Stevens and I'm a breakup recovery mentor. And this is episode number 094, How to Accept the Relationship is Over. This subject is one that is often brought up by my clients as they struggle through the breakup process. Most breakups can be described as stressful. In fact, I don't know anybody that has said to me that his or her breakup was a breeze. Most people describe breaking up as full of emotions. It's frustrating, it's overwhelming, devastating, and difficult on all levels. Breaking up is one of the most traumatic events that can happen to you. Breaking up can wear you down. It takes its toll on everything in your life, your emotions, your health, your well-being, and your thought process. You can feel that you no longer know whom you really are. Your identity has been taken away from you, and your world is falling apart. You may feel that you've wasted your time in the relationship, or that you've failed in some way because the relationship is now over. What makes it worse is when you can't quite accept that the relationship is in fact over. You rack your mind over what went wrong. What can you do to fix this and get the relationship back on track? But in doing this, you can be in danger of becoming too self-critical, agonizing over what you should have done or that you should have seen the signs, and taking the blame for everything that was wrong in the relationship. Your heart and your mind are at complete opposites of each other. You become so full of blame, guilt, and even in victim mode. In the initial stages of the breakup, it is very common to resist change and to deny the reality of what is versus what you'd like it to be or what could have been. Well-meaning people tell you to get over it and move on, but that seems so foreign to you. You don't know how you are going to do this. You have no idea what steps to put in place so that you can heal from this breakup and fully accept that it is over. In this episode, I'm going to give you some ideas and strategies that you can put in place. If you sway between hope and wishful thinking, and then the opposite emotions of regret, anger, bitterness, and resentment, if you stay in these places, you will not be able to move forward. There is no room for anything else. This pain consumes your thoughts, your feelings, and your life. The more you fight the fact that your relationship ended, the worse you will feel. Moving on is about accepting that the relationship is over, embracing the present, and looking forward to your future. It's letting go of the hurt and the pain. It's also allowing yourself or giving yourself permission to mourn the breakup. Cry if that feels good for you. Write down your emotions. Journal every feeling that you are having. Get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper. Vent to a friend or family member. All these things can help you to mourn the loss of your relationship. One of the first ideas or strategies I'm going to talk about in today's podcast, in order for you to accept that the relationship is over, is to remember that you can't fix this. In order for you to move forward with your life, you have to accept that you can't fix this problem. The relationship is unrepairable. You can't talk your way into fixing it. You can't do any actions that is going to change the circumstances. You can't keep holding on to this notion that you can fix it. You can't mend what cannot be mended. Once you accept it for what it is, a piece of your life's past, you can take back control over your life. Once you find acceptance, You won't be fighting the past. You are not going to be able to control this situation the way you want it to happen. We all like to have control in our lives. It brings a sense of calm and stability. But you cannot control anyone else but you. You have probably worked that one out by now. You can't control what your ex thinks, says, or does. You can only control the way you react to everything that is surrounding you. You cannot make them get back with you. You cannot make them feel the emotions that you are feeling, and you can't make them not move on. This might seem a little unfair and unjust, but that is the way it is. Another tip to help you accept that the relationship is over is to remind yourself why your relationship ended. In most circumstances, there is a reason why the relationship has ended. I had a client that was finding it hard to accept that her 12-year marriage had ended. She came to me because she just couldn't move on. She stayed stuck in the past and was constantly thinking about all the good times they had together, when they met, the holidays they went on, the children they had, and the house that they had made into a home. She wanted to stay in the past, in a place that was safe for her, a place that brought fond memories and happier times. She was resisting the inevitable, and that was to live in the present. In our sessions, she was going off track and reliving the past or bringing up something that happened some time ago, and I would ask her, why did the marriage end? At first, this question would bring her to tears, and she would tell me that her husband had been having an affair. At first she would say this to me and then use the word but. But he doesn't love her. But she was the one that made the advances. But it's over now. All these buts. As we worked together, she explored how the affair had made her feel. And was she really happy in the marriage and things like that. So every time you are having difficulty accepting your relationship is over, I would like you to ask yourself, why did you break up? Maybe it was because your partner had had an affair. Maybe your relationship was slowly crumbling away until finally your partner said enough was enough. You both deserved to be happy. Maybe the breakup came out of nowhere. You had no idea that your partner had fallen out of love with you. It is a huge blow to your ego to find that the person whom you love no longer loves you. This can lead to feelings of rejection and disappointment, and it makes it harder to accept that the relationship is over. There can be so many reasons and circumstances as to why people break up. If you hang on to the past, you won't be able to move towards your future. Another way to accept that your relationship is over is to rebuild your life. If you have been in a relationship for some time, the idea of rebuilding your life can be daunting. It can fill you full of dread. I'm not going to tell you that this process will be easy, because it isn't. It takes a willingness to find out what you want from your life from now on. It takes a mental strength to put the actions and steps in place to rebuild your life. But that is what I'm here for. That is what your friends and family are here for, to help you take baby steps to begin with, then bigger ones as you become more confident. You can do this. I want you to become happy again. I would like you to remember that you are a worthwhile person who doesn't have to let the end of your relationship define your self-worth. Just because your relationship is over doesn't mean that there is something wrong with you or you are inadequate in some way. A breakup often is not just one person's fault. There can be so many little things that build up into a situation that nothing can be done to fix it. I would like you to bring some happiness back into your life. Spend time with friends and family. Do things that you enjoy. Explore your creative side. Try an exercise you have always wanted to try. Do something different out of your comfort zone. Find peace in your own company. Learn to be comfortable with yourself. Walking, swimming, reading, listening to music, meditating or journaling. They are just a few suggestions I've come up with. If you think about it, you will come up with your own list. It can be difficult to accept that change is a way forward. If you are anything like me, I like order and knowing what direction I'm heading in. I had to learn to accept that my life had changed when I broke up with my husband. And I keep telling myself that my life is forever changing, as did my client I was talking about earlier on. We worked together on strengthening her weaknesses and improving her strengths. And sure, she still remembered the good parts of her relationship, but that was where she left them, in the past. I got her to look towards the future. What did she want from her life right now? How could she reconnect with the person she once was outside of her relationship? We looked at all the benefits in her life right now and put things in place for her to change her way of thinking. She created new possibilities by setting some short and long-term goals. Accepting the relationship is over may not happen as fast as you want it to. You will feel the loss of your relationship for some time. But one way to speed up your recovery from your breakup is to follow some of the strategies and tips I've mentioned in this podcast. Remember, you can't fix this. Remind yourself why the relationship ended or why it wasn't working. Rebuild your life. Stay open to new experiences, hobbies and interests. Your progress to heal and to move on after your breakup is dependent on the actions and the steps you take. It also depends on you changing your thought process, your mindset, and not dwelling on the past. It is normal to be feeling devastated, angry, and upset that your relationship has ended, but you don't have to be defined by your breakup. I hope that you've got something from this episode number 094, how to accept that the relationship is over. Whether it has sparked a question or a query, or a better understanding of your thought process, how you think, and the sort of things you're actually telling yourself. I'd also like to give a shout out to those wonderful and kind people that have taken the time to leave a review about Breakup Recovery Podcast on iTunes. I love receiving these and I'm humbled at the encouraging comments and grateful that you find this podcast helpful in some way. In previous podcasts, I've read a review, so I'm going to continue with this today. The review on iTunes starts with, "I'm struggling with a breakup, and your podcasts have shed so much light on ways to help. I definitely like the size of them too. Maybe a podcast idea is how not to lose yourself in your new relationship. Thank you so much." And then there was a smiley face. Thank you for your review, and I will try to make that podcast idea happen in the near future. If you'd like to leave a review, I would be most thankful, and you can do that in iTunes. And I'll share more reviews when I next do a solo episode of Breakup Recovery Podcast. On another note, I'm coming up to my 100th episode soon, and I wanted to do something special for this 100th episode of Breakup Recovery Podcast. I'd love to answer any questions you, the listeners, might have for me. Any questions I might not have answered in previous Breakup Recovery podcasts. Or maybe you would like me to answer a question more in depth. Maybe I skimmed over an answer, or because of time restraints, I didn't give you quite enough details, aspects, or points on this particular subject. Or you have a request of a subject you would like me to cover. So there are a couple of ways you can send through your questions or your comments, and that would be to go to my website, barbarastevens.com.au, and click on the contact button, or another way would be to go to my Facebook page and hit the message button and do it that way. Whatever works best for you. I won't mention your name when I'm reading out your question during the 100th episode if you don't want me to. So be sure to mention that you don't want your name read out in your email or your message to me. I look forward to receiving your questions, your comments, your observations, and recording my 100th episode of Breakup Recovery Podcast. Thank you for listening. And the last thing I'd like to say is, be gentle on yourself. You deserve happiness.
If you would like to hear previous Breakup Recovery podcasts, visit barbarastevens.com.au. Connect with Barbara Stevens on social media with Barbara Stevens Breakup Recovery Mentor on Facebook and at You'll Be Okay on Twitter. Read further blogs, view webinar replays, and download your free ebook, 3 Easy Steps to Surviving Your Breakup, and much more at barbarastevens.com.au.